grandbaby's sick, so she's in Lexington there. So, and we have a guest here, Frankie Spencer. He's going to talk about his program. But what I thought we would do is, everybody, I know we're short on time, let's go ahead and get your food, and he doesn't object to us eating while his program goes.
You don't object for me eating while I talk.
As long as you don't spit stuff at us.
I was keeping my distance.
There's sandwiches and lemonade and mustard and stuff. So help yourselves. After you get your food, we'll do a very brief business meeting so I can update you on what we're doing. And actually, I need to figure out if I've got enough to vote on, because we need to approve funds for like Project Prom, which is that kind of. And a few things like that, and talk about our upcoming GUS luncheon and everything. So, please start, and we'll talk.
All right, I'll go ahead and get started if that's okay. Welcome. Thank you for having us here today. My name is Frankie Spencer. I'm a certified alcohol and drug counselor and presently the public relations director for Addiction Recovery Care. I'm here today just kind of give you a little update about what we are and who we are. I've been in this field for 13 years now as a counselor, working with folks that's in addictions. And I've worked from anything from very high-profile folks, their family, to folks that's never had anything in their life. We all know, this being the Unite, we all know the issues that face addiction, substance abuse, what we're facing in communities. And that's why we're here today, because we want people to know that there is help, and most definitely that there's hope more than anything. And that's what we're here for. I've got some guests that's going to come up and want to share a little bit about themselves and talk about their stories, their situation, experience, strength, and hope. But first I want to kind of give you a little rundown about what Addiction Recovery Care is and how it got started. Before I do that though, I want to thank you all for participating. I've been doing this for, like I said, for a long time. I've served on several Unite coalitions across the state, from Round County, Elliott County, Morgan County, and worked a little bit with Menifee whenever Menifee had Hal Rogers in his district. So I've been around quite a bit with communities, and it's not just Johnson County. It's not just Paintsville. It's not just Louisa. It's not just West Liberty. It's everywhere. Substance abuse issues is happening everywhere we go. One of the things what we're doing with our company, we're tracking the arrest record of heroin arrests. And we're very proactive, because what happens is whenever you get arrested in the state of Kentucky, I'm talking Western Kentucky and everything, whenever you get arrested and whenever you're released to go back home, we actually already have millers coming out and waiting on you one time you get home. So maybe that might be the God shot. You need to open it up and call somebody. A little bit about our company. The history of Addiction Recovery Care. I know with your time, I want to try to keep it as quick as possible, but I do get a little windy. So I'll try to be as quick as possible. Tim Robinson is our founder and CEO. Tim Robinson is actually in recovery himself. You'll see here, he was a prosecuting attorney, functioning alcoholic. He got to a point where he could not take it anymore and actually had thought that the end was near. And didn't care if he lived or died. So, what happened in December 4th, 2006, he was sitting in the prosecutor's office. Bailiff was a pastor, came up to him, and he was saved right there, right then and there. From there on, Tim Robinson changed the way he looked and the way he done everything. Started Odyssey Counseling, trying to help folks come off drugs and alcohol. And then later on, it shows here that in 2010, they started their first 20-bed recovery program called Karen's Place in Louisa. As we went on, in 2012, he started a new company called Addiction Recovery Care, LLC. It is a private company where what we do in the residential centers and outpatient offices is we have a true holistic approach, mind, body, and spirit. Okay? What we have at Addiction Recovery here is unique in a lot of ways to a lot of other companies. I have worked for several other different companies. And what we have is, what we do is focus mainly on, first of all, being a counseling, fully certified, licensed, and accredited through CARP and BHSO certified and AODE. All this means is what we can do is we can build services through insurances and Medicaid. The CARP accreditation, I wanted to go back here because this is pretty big, significant. This is nationally accredited organization where usually you only get 1 year of service to work underneath CARP. Whenever they came in and checked out our programs, and they went through every program, every outpatient office, every residential program, talked to every counselor, every coordinator, and they saw no deficiencies whatsoever. So we're pretty proud of that, because most folks only get 1 year. We got 3 years, so they're not going to bother us for 3 years. They say, you're doing what you need to be doing, keep it up. Now, one of the main things I wanted to add to not only being fully licensed and accredited, we also have pastoral counselors. I like to call our company God-led, God-driven program. Okay? I've been working this field for a very long time. I have worked with atheists. Okay? The likelihood of someone that's in a drug addiction to make it without a spiritual component is very hard. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but just from experiences I have, and I've worked with other folks, they've got to have that spiritual component. And what we do at our company at Addiction Recovery Care, we don't care a bit to tell you that we're Christ-centered, we're God-led, God-driven. Okay? I know a lot of times we've got to tap dance and kind of be careful about what we say, but we're nationally accredited. I mean, the federal government knows exactly what we're doing, and we say it loud and proud. So, in saying all that, I want to introduce you to a couple of companies, a couple of the programs. This one is Karen's Place, and I do have some brochures here. My projector I had to use for a little to set it up there, so you got to wait on those. But Karen's Place is in Louisa, Kentucky. Magnificent facility. As you can see already right now, this room, I recently had a lady from Workforce Innovation Board, the state board to get people back into work and working again. She recently visited, sat down with some of the girls, and they have a singing group that goes around. We have a lady here that kind of is in charge of that, that goes around singing in churches, different organizations. And she was so moved. She said, she sent me a letter back, and she says, first of all, said, there's been 3 times in my life that was life-changing. And yesterday was one of them. You know, so that's huge. And what we're doing, and that's not anything special, all we're doing is letting God do the work. Allowing God to do what He does. Okay? He does for us what we can't do for ourselves. And that's what we try to bring to these folks. By talking with the counseling and the psychoanalytical side of their addiction to their spirituality component, and how they see God as not a damning and unforgiving, but a respectful, forgiving, and loving God. That's the difference. And that's what the changes are happening in every one of our centers, not just Karen's Place. There's another one we have at Best Blessing. It's in Annville, Kentucky. Best Blessing, we took it over a couple years ago. They had got it started, and if anybody knows anything about trying to get a program going, it's tough. Very tough. So they came to us, we worked it out. Now we work with them there in Annville. Great community. This facility is in Fleming County. It is a 300-acre farm with a 22-acre lake where our gentlemen are allowed to go fishing, go hiking. It's part of that whole natural essence of being and enjoying God's beauty while in recovery. Because most time when you're in addiction or in your madness, you could care less whatsoever about the birds singing, the wind blowing, the trees blowing, and everything like that. So, beautiful place. This was another good cool fact about this. Van Ingram, the state's Office of Drug Control Policy, Executive Director, his grandfather built that house So he came up and visited, he sent us some pictures, and he loves what we're doing with it, of course, the Office of Drug Control Policy. Because there for a while after his family sold it, it became some pretty rough places, very rough places of the night, I guess, I'll leave it there. But now to be a recovery treatment center for men is amazing, and he loved the idea of it. So we have this one, and it's a men's center. The other best placing was our two, and Karen placed our two women's centers. This one is a new one we have. It's in Somerset, Kentucky. It's Lake Hills Oasis. Church used to own this, and they tried to make it a retreat, and it was just tough to get it off the ground, so they came to us too and saw the mission and what we're trying to do, and was all on board. Our outpatient, we do IOP. These programs, we have 13 programs across the state of Kentucky. You can see from Ashland to Danville, Harlan, Betsy Lane, Paintsville, Hazard and Inez, Lawrence County, Lawrenceburg, Lexington, Louisa, Mount Sterling, Paintsville. We've got an office here in Paintsville, Prestonsburg, and Richmond. Our programs, what happened with our outpatient and IOP programs was there was some doctors in Mount Sterling that came to us, and they were doing the medication-assisted treatment, Suboxone. Okay, there we go. And that's what most people are looking at it as. Okay, I was too. I worked at Moorhead Inspiration Center. We're totally on medical, none whatsoever. You can barely get an aspirin. Okay. I was dead set against it. I was like, absolutely not. That's just one drug for another. Okay? And that is what kind of our perception is when we're looking at it. Why? Because you've had a lot of folks that abuse it. You see a very high amount of it from police officers, from judges, from in the court system that sees this as a bad thing. With what I do, I also do a lot of lobbying in Frankfurt. A lot. You know, I was really involved in House Bill 463 and in Senate Bill 92, where we're not decriminalizing or slapping people on the wrist, as a lot of people like to think. It is actually getting people treatment. You know, you can arrest people, but you can't arrest the problem. You know, the problem is there, it's going to be there, it's a health issue, it's a disease. Okay, and that's one of the things what we're looking at. And with medication-assisted treatment, one thing I want to make sure you make a note, we do not prescribe Suboxone. We are absolutely not providers of Suboxone in no shape, form, or fashion. When we lobbied for that legislation for Medicaid and insurance to start taking Suboxone, one of the things was that they had to seek treatment while they were taking the medications. What happens is you got a lot of doctors that do not do that, or they do it by how you doing, check 1 to 10, how you feeling today. That's not counseling. It's not treatment. So what we had some doctors that really cared in Mount Sterling that wanted to come and ask us to come up and try to do the treatment, contract with us to do the treatment. And it worked out great. They come twice a week, 2 drug screens a week. They're screened, they're monitored, they are encouraged to attend self-help groups. And other things that we've started along with all of that, we've started a new program called Target Case Management, where actually we help people find work, find jobs, get clothing, get resume building skills, all of the things that you just go in there and just try to work with them and talk to them about their past and their history. But what we're also trying to do is help kind of navigate them on a path that they can get a job. They can be productive citizens instead of what everybody thinks is a drain on society. So we have peer support services. This is a huge one. Okay, I can stand up here and talk to a big group, and I've done it for years, and tell them, no, don't do this, don't do that. But they look at that and say, you have no clue what I went through, or what I go through. So what we do is have folks that are in recovery themselves to become peer support specialists. That meaning they went through some of the same things that you went through, and now they're going to try to help you and be supportive of you instead of not looking down on you. Another thing, what we're trying to do, which I think is cool, and that's why the Innovation Board, the lady from the Innovation Board was there. We're starting a program where I call it a recycling program. As someone comes through our program, they have to have, after a year's of sobriety and being clean, they start the case management, or what they call a peer mentor. And you work in that to a point where you become a case manager, where actually a case manager starts out a very good seller, $20,000 to $25,000. That's excellent because a lot of our folks have felonies, can't get a job, and sometimes they have to take a job where they got in active addiction from the first place. Okay, so it gives them an opportunity to stay plugged in, what we call it, plugged into the system, plugged into recovery. Once that happens, we start with the case manager, then you become a peer support specialist. Or vice versa, I'm sorry, peer support specialist, and then a case manager. So what happens is you've got a different level of pay scale. You're getting a promotion to staying in the field. And then eventually we hope that what they'll do is attend college, get their degree, and become a CADC, like myself. And become, like it is it's job retention, job creation, job promotion. Everything that the state and every good politician wants to hear. So, with all of this, we do accept all forms of payment, private insurance, private pay, and all Medicaids. And just recently, we started accepting Medicaid, West Liberty Medicaid. And these are our intake professionals. These ladies will sit on the phone and talk to you every single time you come in. They're awesome. They're awesome. Whenever we have someone that's in addiction call, they're very helpful. Very helpful. Not judgmental. They want them to get in the door. That's the first thing. Our most important thing is get you in the door. Most definitely. The magic will happen after that. We're mission driven, truly holistic, and committed to excellence. Is there any questions? Coming together is the beginning, keeping together is progress, but working together is success. That's why I said earlier, it does take all of us. And I thank you all for taking time out of your day to come in and sit in these programs, because they do work, people. They do. And sometimes you get frustrated, oh, look at the race record, look at all this, look at all that. You can't get caught up in that. What we're a society, we focus too much on the problem. We focus too much on the newspaper ad or the news or something like that. We focus too much on the problem and not the solution. And at this time, I would like to introduce you to the solution. Okay? The things that happen and it works. Right now we have Miss Carla Copley is going to come up here and give her little experience of strength and hope a little bit. Talk to her. She's got Richie here. Oh, Richie.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Carla's actually works for us now, and I'm going to let her just give her a little introduction and go from there.
Well, like I said, my name is Carla, and I'm an addict. It's in long-term recovery. I was raised in church. I knew right from wrong. I had a really good childhood. I didn't begin to use drugs until I was in my 20s. It didn't matter that I had been raised in church. It didn't matter how old I was. It didn't matter what color my skin was. It didn't care my occupation. It nearly destroyed me. But I don't want to talk about that. I don't have a whole lot of time. That's just a bad place. I want to talk to you about where I am today. Like Frankie said, we do the whole holistic approach. And God does the work. He doesn't need my help. Had it not been for God, I wouldn't be standing here today. But I also know that you were talking about the Suboxone, Frankie. I was just like you. I was totally against it. What works for me won't necessarily work for others. So that's the good thing about this program. It meets you where you are. It comes to you. We want to show the love of God because that's what He wants us to do. So when we begin to show the love of God in everything that God has done in our lives, He shines through and He becomes our testimony. I can tell you today, after about 11 years in addiction, I am remarried. I have a stepdaughter. I sing gospel music with my family. We are going to Nashville this month. God is just blessed, and it's nothing that we do. It's nothing that I have ever done. God is blessing me. God is allowing me to serve and to worship Him. This organization, this company, that's what we strive for. And that's the greatest part about Karen's Place. There, I'm now the director of outreach, the activity coordinator, the intake director, a whole bunch of names that really don't amount to a hill of beans. But I hope that you guys can get a clear picture of where I was in my life and where I am now. I am a totally changed person. I get to watch these ladies come into Karen's Place. And I get to see the transformation that the employees saw on me when I came in. God does it. We just need to be obedient. I love my life today. Is it hard? Yes. Life is hard. Life is difficult. But I'm waking up every day, putting my feet on the floor. I've got another breath in my body. I don't have that desire to go out and get my fix anymore. I am a child of God. That's who we are in this organization. We love with everything. And there is hope. I hope you guys can see that in me today. It's awesome, and I am grateful today.
I always go around and tell folks, I'm like, I love what I do. And that's the reason why. It's because of that. And I understand, I got a lot of police officer friends and a lot of folks in the juvenile system and the judicial system. And you see, those folks see the worst. They see the madness. So they desensitize to it a little bit. And I always try to go back and try to say, listen, it's true. There's no getting around the mistakes they made and the things they've done. I can assure you, they feel bad for it. There is evil people out there. I want to make that clear, okay? There is evil people that need the full extent of the consequences from what they do, for sure. So I'm not trying to say anything about that or not, but again, I truly love what I do. They say you never work a day in your life if you love what you're doing. That's a fact. That's a reason. Another reason is because we got another lady that's going to come up here and share a little bit. She's very, very nervous. Okay? It is tough to come up here and just kind of air all your issues out, because who would really want to do that, even if you're in addiction? Okay? So it is tough. It makes it tough. So this is very courageous, and this is what real recovery is. Okay? And that's why I asked Danielle here. Danielle is one of our case managers here in our office, so she's representing well here. But that's why we want to see long-term recovery versus short-term recovery. Okay? And a different little outlook of what it's like. So please give her a really warm welcome. Melinda Conley, come on up here.
Well, I'm Melinda. I was an addict for a very long time, almost 18 years. Started when I was 21. Didn't even know really how it happened. It just did. Met the wrong person, started doing drugs. Well, it's kind of like a disease. It gets a hold of your body and you just can't quit. Like, makes you want to cry, sorry. So one day I went to work and I broke down. I had a mental breakdown and everything. Couldn't come off drugs. Didn't think I had hope. So a friend of mine came to me and she said, Melinda, she said, go to a clinic. She said, come off the drugs. So, and I am on Suboxone, I'm not going to lie. But that was, compared to me taking 15 pills a day and me taking 2 Suboxone to be normal, people say, oh, it's just a legal high, but it's not. Not for me. I mean, I don't feel high. I'm not out of my head. I'm normal. I forgot what normal was when I was on drugs. I forgot what it was like, I'm a waitress. I've been a waitress just as long as I've been doing drugs. I probably waited on half of you guys at some restaurant somewhere. So I went and got help. I started going to the clinic. I take my medication. I go to the ARC Center for counseling, and I love ARC. They are very understanding. They don't judge. All the hurdles I had in my life to get through, they help me understand the guilt that I had and have still. I mean, I still struggle. I still have triggers. I still have problems. It's a very hard thing when drugs get a hold of you to come off of. But if it wasn't for Suboxone and for my husband and ARC, I would not be here. My kids wouldn't have me. So, yeah. But I go twice a week to ARC, and I know that any time that I need their help, all I have to do is go there or call them, and they will help me. But when I decided to get off, me and my husband both, this is my husband, guys, sorry. It was a choice. I remember I was on my knees the night before praying. I said, God, anything to just stop. I didn't want drugs anymore. I was so tired. 18 years was a long, long time to be on drugs. Anybody to be on drugs. But it's like I said, no matter how many times I tried to quit, my body wouldn't let me. I would start going through withdrawals. I would start being sick, and I felt bad because I felt like, my kids were taken care of, but the attention they needed, I couldn't give because it was trying to find drugs to keep me from not being sick so I could be there for them. Or I had a surgery done, more pain medicine, so it made it even worse. But thank God that next day, like I said, that night when I prayed, I got up that next day and I went to work sick. Didn't have any medication whatsoever, going through withdrawals, sick, couldn't hold my head up. And my friend, she's like, I just broke down and told her everything I'd done. Didn't know, other than work-wise, I didn't know her from the man in the moon. And then she just took a hold of me and she says, let me help you. And she was the one that took me to the clinic. Now, I know people say Suboxone, they think bad, or people who make it sound bad, but it's not. There is people who actually want help. They want to be done. And if that's what it takes for me not to be a drug addict or to do my 10, 15 pills a day and feel normal like I am now and work. I work 45 hours a week, always have worked. But like I said, I wouldn't be who I am today or now if it wasn't for ARC and my Suboxone. So I don't want everybody to think it's a bad thing because it's not. There is people who want to get help. So, but yeah, that's kind of me.
Thank you. And today we're not here to try, hopefully we're not trying to persuade people to go with Suboxone or anything like that. One thing that we are wanting to do is that God works in many ways. What works for one person may not work for another. Okay? We're here today just to let you know that we're here. Okay? Addiction Recovery Care is here. And everybody here knows someone that suffers from the disease of addiction, or you wouldn't be here. Okay? So we have brochures and pamphlets. I don't have any cards. I apologize. They're in the process of being sent to me. I do send out those cards everywhere. I put them everywhere. And I think outside the box. I go to the bar, and I sit down on the thing, and I'm like, I used to bartend in college, so that's why I said I sit down and I count. I knew I've been needing to do this for a long time because I counseled back in college with bartending. They come in beat down and disgusted. What else better shot than right there? Give them a card whenever they really need. So that's where we focus. We focus on out there where the problem is. We want to show the solution. I want to read something about what real recovery is. It's a process of change through which individuals improve their health and wellness. They live a self-directed life, and they strive to reach their full potential. That's recovery. And however form it to make it, and however we get to the point to get it. Okay? And in our process, however, if it's medication-assisted treatment, if it's abstinence only in our residential, because our residentials are abstinence only. We don't even smoke in our centers. Can you imagine? 16 women, 16 men, can't smoke, whew, it gets a little rough. But that's what we focus on. We're focused on the solution. So, any questions? I thank you again for allowing us to be here today. We are here. That's one of the things that I do. I try to go around. I got to meet with the city council tonight, the school board. Here later on too, I got some ladies coming and speaking there too. So it's really great that we want to make sure that you see the recovery side of it.
I have a question. You know, as much as I have been involved in so many types of recovery and things, I truthfully do not know what Suboxone does to heal. Can you enlighten me?
Of course.
I mean, I take it twice a day. And like I said, I don't feel high. I'm not high off of it. I just feel normal. I feel like I can function because I actually, like I said, I forgot what normal was. It just kind of like, it opens everything up. It's like I have more now in my life now than I ever did before. I can get out and be with my family now. I don't have to worry about being sick or not being able to give them the attention they need, or I can work every day and not have to worry. It does quite a bit. I mean,
Will you eventually go?
yeah, eventually, it won't be, I won't be on it forever. Eventually I will start coming off of it and be totally done.
What is the chemical in the Suboxone?
Buprenorphine. Buprenorphine. What happened, 70s, whenever the heroin craze came in, the government started, and FDA started a thing called, methadone.
Yeah.
Gosh, sorry. Methadone. Methadone clinics, it was high rise in criminal activity and people doing stuff they shouldn't be doing, homeless rates and everything like that. That's why the government came on board, and they started doing these methadone clinics in those high crime areas. You saw crime go way down, and the use of heroin went way down. But the problem happened was when everybody was on their methadone, it became abusive as well. Okay? So what happened? People started using methadone, chinking it, and taking it home, selling it, and everything. Again, that's why I emphasize this is not a drug problem. It's a mental health and disease problem. Okay? Because if you take away one, you saw House Bill 463 get rid of the pain pill mills. Guess what? Methamphetamine and heroin came back. So it's a disease of addiction that's the problem. And we can throw all the laws and legislation at methadone and Suboxone and heroin and everything else. Guess what? There's going to be people that still abuse something. Okay? So that's why we focus on treatment, recovery. You know, there is a tapering process. We're actually in the process with our medical director to start a tapering process at our centers with the doctor's approval or not. We're going to work with them to try to come off of the Suboxone and onto a new drug that's called, a new prescription called Vivitrol, which Vivitrol has absolutely non-narcotic, no abuse at all, as we can tell. Now, anybody takes a handful, that's just where it is. That's where the sickness is again. That's where the sickness is, and that's where we're trying to work with. We're trying to help that sickness, not the drug problem or not the prescription, the sickness. But yes, it's buprenorphine. It actually has naltrexone in it as well. Naltrexone is a new thing. It's called Narcan. The first responders are using it to immediately take somebody out of OD, overdose. It brings them right out of death and straight into withdrawal symptoms, but it saves their lives.
What is the term, a good term for Suboxone use? Is it
Medication-assisted treatment.
so you can take it for an indefinite period of time? Is there how long are you going to have to be
It
on?
just really depends on the person, I think. You know, like I say, you know, being on drugs for so many years, I mean, even now, I still have triggers. I still have,
Yeah, I
you
wanted to
know,
ask you about those
things like
triggers.
that, you know, and you will, but you have to be strong and realize that, you know, you're here for a reason, for this treatment, you know, for me to take Suboxone and do my counseling in order for me to be better.
Give me a for instance in what triggers it.
For instance, it could be, you know, somebody that you know that used to sell drugs to you. It could be somebody that's, I mean, as a drug addict, it's not like I can't look at somebody else and know that they're taking drugs. That could be a trigger. I mean, it's just little things sometimes. It gets easier. I mean, it does. It does get easier as time goes on. It doesn't bother me as much now. I mean, it still does. The first few months were the worst though. I mean, it's like every time I turn around, that's all I would think about because that's all I was used to doing. Every morning I would get out of bed, I couldn't even get out of bed unless I had a pain pill. And to where now, you know, I can get up and I can go 4 or 5 hours before I have to take my medication, and it doesn't bother me.
And still be able to function.
And still be able to function. Yeah, before I couldn't even function unless I had a pill to get up out of the bed. You don't feel bad, you don't feel sick, you don't, you know, like I said, it's not a bad thing. I know people think that, a lot of people think it is, but
There's
there's,
some people
No, it
that
sounds
do
like a
it.
great thing, really.
it is.
But
It
if you
really,
take Suboxone and have your counseling and stuff, that's how it's supposed to go hand in hand.
yes,
That's
yes,
correct.
because, you know,
Because
and
you're not
like,
supposed to have one without the other.
right.
That's where,
And ARC is a good place, like I said, I feel really comfortable with ARC. They make me feel quite at home. I mean, I know good and well that if something happened, that I had a bad trigger or whatever, that I could call Danielle or Nate or any of them, and they would be right there for me.
and that's the importance. Again, the counseling component. Now, there's a lot of folks that's out there that's using Suboxone. How do you think it got so popular? Word of mouth. Because, oh man, I'll take this Suboxone, I'm dope sick's gone. I don't have it anymore. So the popularity grew. Because I remember I was counseling when it first started, 2003. But you could only go to Lexington to get it. Okay, you only had a certain few doctors that was using it, and they would write it. There's only a few people that could drive all the way to Lexington to get it. And then what happened was it started getting, the word got out on the street. We would call it the streets. That's it. It's word of mouth. And it got popular, more popular, more popular because it was getting people from being dope sick. That's why people break into places. It's not a lot of times it's bad people. We do have a lot of criminals, but the reason why they do crime is to get the drug.
Yeah, if you've ever experienced withdrawals yourself, then you don't really know. I mean, it's like one of the worst things to ever feel is to wake up and be sick.
It'll take your soul.
Yeah, that's what it feels like, is taking your soul. I mean, to wake up and your whole body is hurting from top to bottom and you can't get it to stop no matter what you do. Tylenol, ibuprofen, none of that does anything. It's just, it's unbearable.
What was your main addiction? Do you mind sharing that?
When I first started doing drugs, it was Lorcets. And then after that, I'd had a few surgeries. It was like the more my body got immune to that dosage, I moved up to Percocet.
You have a little something stronger.
Stronger each time, yeah. And like I said, 18 years, my immune system was pretty built up by that time. The last couple of years before I got my, had started getting help, I had moved on to Oxycontin. Because the Percocets and Lorcets, I had to take more of them for me to stop. So then it was Oxycontin. And then it got to where your body starts building an immunity to that. So it's like, it just more and more before you realize that you're taking a whole handful and then you're just like, wow, did I just really take that? But it comes a breaking point at some time.
Is the Suboxone for pain addiction, pain pill addiction, or?
Suboxone, buprenorphine is actually an antagonist, what it's called. It means it will block the effects of heroin and opiates.
Yeah, you can't take those with,
It does have some opiate in it to deal with that, with some of the pain, but it's nothing like a Percocet, Lortab, or anything like that. It is specifically, the main point of it is the buprenorphine, which is a blocker. It blocks the effects. And that's why it started. That's why whenever the heroin use and everything, the methadone was creating the crime rate to go down, but people were getting hooked on methadone. So that's whenever buprenorphine was developed. Now, I don't know what pharmaceutical company or anything like that, but it was developed to kind of taper off of that, to make it less abusive and just focus on keeping someone from using it. If you take a buprenorphine, Suboxone, you can take a heroin, a dose, or an opiate, and you won't feel the effects from it. It's a blocker. It blocks it. That's where the problems, that's why we got to educate people, because some people are in the madness, will take it and they'll keep taking heroin, it's whenever they overdose.
I had a niece that did that. That's what I'm so curious
yeah, you can.
about. What the,
And that's where some of the doctors, I ain't gonna put it on the doctors, it's because that person takes it. Okay, we got to get away from blame. It's just, we're gonna chase our tail forever. We're just gonna look at the thing and say, all right, there's a personal accountability in this. You gotta be educated, okay? Communities, family resource centers, pastors, law officials, you gotta be educated. I'm not saying you're not educated. But we've gotta be educated to know that we're in this together. Like it said, this is only gonna work if we're all together, including people in active addiction and including people that's in short-term and long-term recovery.
So how does a person get referred to one of your clinics?
We are in a process right now. We've had to do a lot of changes. Of course, everyone knows if you're working in the medical field, the insurance issues are
Horrible.
yeah. So we've got to change a few things and alter it. We do. This is my number. This is my personal cell. If you have a family member, friend that needs help, contact me anytime. Again, that's my personal cell number. Right here. Call it right now. I'll prove this. But that's my email. What we have is, what I do is, as well with PR, I'm in marketing manager as well, so I will get them right into our intake office. And right now we're full right now. Unfortunately, we got 16 beds, 4 centers. That's recovery centers. I worked at a 100-bed facility, my previous job, and we stayed full with a 6-month waiting list.
How long are they in, how long is it?
I knew I forgot something. Okay, what we have, it's individually based. Okay, we have a standard of a 37-day program. Okay, I hate numbers.
That's right, so can a lot be done in 37 days, though?
I graduated.
God can do a whole lot of stuff.
I graduated 37-day program at Karen's Place.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So I mean, that's where being in this field for so long. You hate numbers, because once that number is out there, well, if I didn't get 37 days, I might as well give up, or you didn't do it. So it's needs based.
It's individual.
It's an individually needs
You
based.
do have a long-term, say if it's 4 months, can a person,
What we have now, we used to have 180 day, it went from 30 to 180 day program. Some people can be there for up to a year or over a year in the past. Again, I want to go back to insurance woes and billability and everything like that. Of course, we got to keep the doors open. It's just, I hate that, but that's just the way it is. Our company is very ministerial led, and we do see people without insurance or unable to pay. In fact, one of our program directors was an Iraq veteran that came in about 2 years ago, had no money. We couldn't take VA insurance, so our CEO said, get him in here. We're not going to say a veteran can't come into one of our programs. So he stayed for free, and he got it, and guess where he's at? He's he's at Bell Grove Springs on that 300-acre farm right now running it. So that's the solution, and that's what we're all about. We're getting ready to start a Phase 2 program. It's just open for our men's center in Sanibel House. It's in Catlettsburg. So we see the need, we see the long-term need, and we're trying to adjust it. So that's where we started the 37-day program. In that 37-day program, they're actually, once they complete that after Phase 2, we're going to do an additional 30 or 37-day aftercare with getting them involved with the Innovation Board and Gateway Community Action Groups. I think it's Big Sandy Community Action here. Job promotion, resume building, get them a job, and hopefully we have a feeder program where we'll have an open spot at Karen's Place where that lady can go to work as a peer support specialist at Karen's Place. So that's where I was talking about earlier about that recycling program, where we get them into that process. We keep them in the field, keep them plugged in, get them a job, creation, okay, in the field of work, and then promotion as they go and level up in the tiers. So it's a long-term process. I tell people I don't sell microwaves, I sell crock pots. Takes a little longer, but it tastes so much better.
Do you take your night vouchers?
Working on that too. Your night vouchers, unfortunately, your night has to be at least 90 days. Okay? That's all they'll pay for. We're working on that. Tim has been working with Dan Smoot and some of the other folks at United. We used to take them whenever we was 180, but now we've had to taper off, but we're working on the phase 2 program too, so I think we're gonna eventually be able to take them night voucher to phase 2. One other little small note.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I get excited. Harlan County, we're getting ready to open up a place eventually, once we get the insurance woes figured out and taken care of, pregnancy women's program. Amazing, because you would be very, very surprised and shocked to know the women that's out there that they have no treatment for pregnant women and have no options. So we're in the process. That's what I love about this company. Sky's the limit. You know, you come up with an idea, we're going to try every way in the world to make it happen. You not always do it, but we're going to try. Thank you.
Yeah, a couple of quick business things here. GUS has always done the SIP broadcasting coloring book that they put out. We always have an ad, and it's $99, so I need somebody to make a motion and.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All right, we vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. The next business is we support Project Prom. We usually do Paintsville and Johnson Central both. I'm a little behind on Johnson Central, sorry. Didn't mind the snow, but anyway. So, and I'm thinking we give you 200, don't we? Okay. I need a motion to give 200 to each school.
Can we up that?
Thank you.
Do we have funds?
We're at 3,200 right now. We might be able to, if I go ahead and, if somebody comes through on our GUS luncheon, there's a possibility on that. Can we approve it for 200 and then add more if, by getting a sponsor, is that all right with everybody?
Yeah, I so moved it.
Okay, a second from somebody?
Second.
Okay. Good. Girls. I was like, girls, come on.
We're asleep over here.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I think that's all my money, except Shoes and I have been talking, he wants to do like a balloon release here on April the 8th with the kids, probably to see after school. So we may help him with a few little things there, balloons or whatever.
Yeah, we have that Paintsville's after school program. There's only 25 or 30 kids that come down here for the after school program every day. So I thought it was something they could do, maybe do balloons or do a pen pal card or something, send them up with them, you know, just to give them something to do. Thought of GUS, and then I also thought, somewhere in my mind, I thought that GUS used to have blue balloons with GUS on them. Growing Up Safe was on the
I
balloons.
looked, but
Actually.
We used to have a long time
It
ago.
used to be a long
Yeah.
time.
yeah,
a long time
okay,
ago.
we may try and, if not, I've got plenty of blue ribbons. We can attach
We
to
can get balloons,
balloons.
yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not-
we can
We
get
can get blue balloons, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, it won't be anything major. Just let them release some balloons out here in the middle of the track or something.
Okay. All right, just an update on the GUS luncheon. We've got it scheduled for April the 21st. I'm still working on the speakers. We may have, I'm not sure if Paul Hall will be sponsoring, but we may have another sponsor because they're biased. Hopefully. I don't know, I haven't talked to them. There was a question last year, they were saying they might not be able to do it this year, so we'll kind of have to see, because they've changed owners at one point, back months ago. So anyway, we will be skipping our April meeting and just going for the GUS lunch. We'll probably also, in terms of fundraising, do a silent auction that day. It's just because we gave so much money out last year after our auction for the flooding, which was the one thing that we wanted to do, but it's just made it a little tight for us in other projects. But we'd rather spend the money and help people than anything else. So that's all my business, because our last,
If you want to spend more money and help people, I got, I went to Tony about the thing that I'm doing. I don't understand what you're saying, but I'm looking, if you look out the window there, you'll see those plastic houses.
Yeah,
I'm looking to replace those houses. I've got
Okay.
about 9 pieces that I've already picked out, that I wanna really just update them and put them out there, a picnic table, a bigger swing and slide, and a smaller house, and some pink houses for the girls, you know, they never, you know, it's been, I don't know how old these playhouses are. We try to clean them and separate them, put them out, and, you know, they get wore down pretty good, but I'm looking at replacing those things, and they're not cheap, but, you know, I've already gotten $500 from Walmart to go toward that.
Okay.
But I'm looking at about a $2,000 budget is what I'm looking at, to try to get the right pieces to put in there. They'll be different, you know, all the kids from ages, you know, 1 up to 6 or 7 will be able to play on these pieces, once we get them in place out here.
we'll work on that with the GUS, and then you also need to come to Kiwanis and.
I've sent them a letter and Rotary a letter.
Oh.
Rotary is in the process of passing to get the money.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm Kiwanian, so I'll bug them.
I'm Rotary.
I know, you're Rotary president. So I'm past president of Kiwanis, so not that it has a lot of clout sometimes, but anyway.
Let me know if you may need some laborers,
Okay.
because our residential programs are, you know, we'd like to try to start, I don't know, I can't say for Karen's place, but, you know, projects like that, I'm sure we can get some volunteers to come up and some of our folks to give back to the community.
Yeah, I'm sure, once we get those pieces, I mean, I know they're just plastic snapped together things, but they're not gonna come put together. We'll have to lay them out here in this big room or outside here and have a day of probably putting them together.
I helped on the playground over there, so I know the piece.
Well, that's totally, now that over there.
I know,
this'll be a
totally
piece of cake
different.
compared to what we did over
I
there.
know. I think I was more moral support for that, but it did hard labor. Okay, does anybody have anything else? If not, I'm going to dismiss us. And thank you all for coming. And take a photo if anybody's hungry.
Anybody want some brochures?